Alright, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for Star Wars Visions Presents The Ninth Jedi. That is right. This is the sequel, I guess, to the Star Wars Visions Volume 1 and 2 had the Ninth Jedi episodes, and they decided to turn this one into an actual full-length series with 8 episodes as the moment. I don't know if there's going to be a Season 2. I do hope so, because they do actually end it off as teasing a Season 2, so hopefully that will be the case. And yeah, let us just get into it. It's a fairly new, this is one of the more recent reviews that I'm doing. I'm going to try in general, like anytime a new product comes out, I will try to be on top of it if it's like a continuation of something. Like I reviewed Star Wars Visions already, so I'm reviewing that when this comes out, like around the time that this came out. It came out like 2 days ago, as well as The Bear. I know that The Bear came out, like the Season 5 came out a while ago, so I still haven't seen that. So I'm going to try to get a bit more on top of the new releases. So anyway, yeah, so there will be spoilers for this video because it is new, so I'm just saying that now in case you don't want spoilers. And so let's just get into it, starting off with the plot. So the plot is basically we are kind of continuing to follow the journey of Juro, Lakara, and the rest of the gang they have going on. Basically, the beginning of the series is them trying to recruit as many just Jedi and people to work with them. They're trying to recruit as many forces as they can in order to face the villain of the series, Nawam, who we end up learning is the one that is currently controlling the galaxy. He is basically, we find this out a bit later, but he is a Padawan that ended up witnessing, Jima, who is Kara's dad, ended up killing his former master. I think I don't have all the names pulled up here. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna do it after this. I'm gonna do like a character ranking. As I have to figure out how I'm gonna do it, because it might be, I might update the Visions character ranking as well as the Power ranking, or I might just do a separate character ranking. Not important. I'm not going to get into it now. But yeah, I'm gonna right now I just have like a list of the main basic characters. So I don't remember the name of the former master of Jima, but his name was something Rowan, something like that. Let me check. Actually, just give me a second. Right. So his name was Renault. So yeah. Anyway, so Jima ended up finding out that Renault was secretly doing evil political assassinations, kind of, but basically he was getting rid of the people that were getting in the way of his political aspirations. And so from that, I think Renault, he initially attacked Jima, so it led to a fight. Jima ended up killing Renault, and so everyone thinks that Jima is this master killer, basically, like as in he killed his own master. And there's this one Padawan that ends up witnessing it, Nuam, who basically witnesses Jiam tap into like this brand new technique, which he turns the lightsaber silver. So Nuam thinks that the way of doing this is to, I think this is the way of doing it, is to basically become emotionless, and if you have no emotions and you're just completely apathetic, then you're not on you're not on the side of light, and you're not on the side of darkness, so you can unlock that ability from that. So his whole goal is to, number one, unlock that technique, and besides that, he wants to just basically, it's the standard thing of like, I will rule the entire universe, or the galaxy, whatever it is. I will rule through force, and anyone that gets in my way, I will like destroy them, and therefore the galaxy will be at peace, because I'll be it's the whole mentality of like, oh, dictators are bad, but I'll be a good dictator, basically, of like, I'll be the one in charge. If anyone gets in my way, I'll get rid of them, but at the same time, there will be peace throughout the galaxy, like as long as they all follow me. So yeah, anyway, so the plot is that you have Kara as well as Juro and the rest of the gang. They are basically trying to stop Nuam throughout the course of the series. Some stuff happens. Ethan, he's like I'll kind of like talk at this point about the characters and the plot intertwined. Overall, the plot, I'm going to give it probably just I'm going to give it a 3 to 5. I think that's one of the big issues with it, is that I think that the pacing is not the best, especially towards the start. Where the start, it feels like you just have like the characters that are kind of just like going from place to place trying to get like recruits. So the first like 3 episodes, I want to say, and then the 4th episode, it kind of gets a bit more climactic. And so, but the first 3 episodes, it does feel a bit slow, I want to say, with the plot, where it's just we're going from place to place trying to fight. It's like you have Kara, Juro, as well as the other one. Who's the other one? The other one is named Homan, who are just trying to find recruits to fight Nuam. And you have Ethan, who's on a stealth mission, like a recon mission, in order to investigate where, again, these names are really hard to remember, Jima, in order to free him, basically. So yeah, the plot, I'm just going to give it a 3 to 5. I think that overall it gets better as the show goes on. Like when you get into later episodes, I do think it gets better, but I'm going to be harsh with it. I'm just going to give it a 3 to 5. In terms of the characters, I think Kara is very much improved. I would say I liked her like in the Visions episodes, but I think that in this series she really gets a good amount of time to develop. She is definitely like the character that is most prominent and gets the most screen time, which makes sense, I guess, because she is the protagonist. So I do think that she is a lot better in this series. Like she is not like by a drastic extent. Like she was good in Visions, but I do like the development with her. I actually feel convinced that she's a prodigy now. Where in the like one of my critiques with I think Visions Volume 3, the Child of Hope episode, was that I was not convinced that Kara being like this new Jedi trainee was able to take on these two Sith hunters. But I think in this series they do like a bit of a better job. Number one, because we actually get Jima's backstory, where we find out that he was like actually a prodigy himself. So it like, okay, the child of this like Jedi master, basically, like it kind of makes more sense that she would be skilled herself, I guess, because I guess the skills she inherited from Jima. So I do like Kara better in the series. Let's hear Juro. Juro is, I don't know, I liked him a lot in the first Star Wars Visions like volume, in the first in the first Ninth Jedi episode that was in Star Wars Visions Volume 1. In this series, it feels like he's just kind of like trying to recruit people. He gets into a fight with Nuam where he ends up dying, and he's just not as good as he was in the first. Like, I didn't really care for he wasn't really the second episode, like the Visions Volume 3 episode, that was just kind of like a solo adventure with Kara, so none of the characters were really in that one. So yeah, Juro, I didn't really care for him as much in, like, he dies after the 4th episode. So Ethan, I didn't really like Ethan that much. Like, his recon stuff was fine. I thought that they were going to have some plot twist where it's like he was being mind controlled, because he shows up and he starts talking to the rest of the Resistance, basically saying like, oh, don't worry, there's people like us all over the galaxy. And I thought it was like kind of hinting that he was like being mind controlled by Nuam, and he was going to like end up revealing the rebels' location. But that didn't end up happening. Part of it was just that his eyes, for some reason, they animated his eyes where it's like they're really kind of bulging constantly. Like his eyes, like they look really psychotic, I want to say. So I did think that he was being mind controlled for a while, but he wasn't. So, but he was fine. Yeah, I don't know. He wasn't even necessarily like the best in the Visions episodes as well. So I just, he's like, I guess, doing some recon, but I just kind of wish there was a bit more with him. Well, so there, Homan, I didn't care for him in the Visions episode. He's just like another Jedi that's going along, masterless Jedi that's just helping them out. He doesn't really have too much screen time. Gramps, apparently that's the name of the robot that was in the Visions episode, like the one that kind of drives them places. Apparently his name is Gramps, which I think he was just named T Robot or something like that in Robot Drinking Tea in the Visions episodes. Well, so there, Lajima, the father of Kara, once again, I do think that he is good. I did not really like him in the Visions episodes because he was not very well developed. He was just this sabersmith, and now we actually get some development with him. We get his backstory and stuff, so I think it really does improve the character. Nuam himself, or Nawam, whatever. Again, these names are, I'm not great with them. Nawam, I think, is good as a villain. He's like very apathetic. I think that his design is pretty cool. He feels intimidating. He feels powerful. The backstory of him, like, kind of choosing this road of apathy, where he thinks that like both the light side and the dark side are not the way, where you have to be like somewhere in the middle. I think that that's a pretty good ideology for a villain. But he does kind of like his actions lean more towards the dark side with like the stuff that he's willing to do in order to achieve his ultimate goals. So there is Geno, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but he is the right hand, I think, of Nawam, where he ends up fighting. He's not the best, I would say. Like, he's cool, he's like kind of intimidating, I guess, but he fights Jiam, gets defeated, and then gets all these upgrades, and then gets into another fight with Jiam, and then just still manages to get defeated. There wasn't even like some thing where, I don't know, he managed to cut off his arm or leg or something like that, which could have maybe showed that, okay, he's improved. He just, once again, he gets into another duel with Jiam, and then he gets defeated. So Geno was not the best, I would say. And then there was some more characters, Tafla, Kwana, these other just some side characters. I'll get more into them with the character ranking. But at the moment, yeah, it's going to be difficult because I don't have all the character names pulled up at the moment. So overall, the characters, I'm going to give probably, I would say, I'm going to go like a 7 out of 10. I'm going to say pretty good characters. There was also the bounty hunter that I think Kara, she gets captured by 2 bounty hunters, Jedi hunters, not bounty hunters necessarily. I think they're labeled as Jedi hunters. So she ends up killing one in a fight, and then the second one she doesn't end up killing, and so he actually becomes part of the team, which I did like him as well. I don't remember his name exactly. I think one of them was named Et, which was the one that got killed, and the other one, I think his name was like T-Bo or something like that. And I'm pretty sure that's also the name. I checked on the Anime Planet website, and there was also in the 3rd volume of Visions, in the 2nd episode of The Ninth Jedi, there was I think one of the bounty hunters that was going after Kara was also had the same name. So I'm not sure if it was the same bounty hunter that was in the third Visions volume, so I'll have to maybe do some more research on that. But anyway, overall, I would give the characters a 7 out of 10. I thought that they were pretty good. In terms of the settings, I don't really... Most Star Wars settings, honestly, they just feel a bit too repetitive. It always just feels like the same areas. I will say I did like the purple planet that I think was the base of Nuam while he was there for a bit. Nawam, not Nuam, Nawam. Besides that, there was, I don't know, some space areas, some other, I don't know, a lot of like mining colonies, I guess, some forest areas and stuff. It's nothing, it's standard Star Wars stuff. It's nothing really too new or interesting. I would probably just give it like a, I don't know, like a 5.5. It's all decent, but it's not anything that we haven't really seen before, except for that one planet, which I did like of Nawam's like planet. I thought that was cool, like the purple colors and stuff. Next is the visuals. The visuals, I would say that I like the visuals. Out of all the Visions plots, this one was, it had like nice visuals. I get like Naruto vibes from it, and so I do think that the visuals are, it's nice, definitely not one of my favorites from Visions. I think that there were some Visions episodes that had some better visuals, but overall the visuals, I'll say this, like I'm just now I was kind of talking about the art style, so the art style, I would say like all that, like yeah, it looks like Naruto. It's not one of my favorites from Visions. I will say this, the visuals themselves, like the actual action sequences, which I'll get into like in a second, but I think that there are some very nice visuals of like the actual Kyber crystal cannon being fired. A lot of the action sequences look very cool, and so like visually, I guess, I don't know, it's always confusing where it's like visuals kind of combines both the settings as well as the action, like both visuals, like it's very broad because visuals encompasses both the action and the settings, so I don't know, I always have trouble with like where it gets a bit mixed up with these categories. So the visuals, I will just give probably, I'm gonna go like a 7.5. I'm gonna say very good visuals, and yeah, I think like that when I'm thinking of the visuals of the actions, I think I would rather just group that a bit more with the action itself. But I don't know, there's like good cinematography. I guess that counts a bit more. I don't know, that also kind of counts a bit more towards the action category. So I don't know, I have to think about that. Maybe in certain cases I should just start grouping action and visuals together. I was thinking like at some point like maybe I should just like start grouping the settings together with the action. Or, sorry, not the settings with the visuals, because it might just make it easier. I'm thinking now, like, maybe I should also start just grouping the action with the visuals. Maybe I should just call it one giant category of visuals, which encompasses both the settings and the actions. So, I don't know, I feel like that could also get confusing for certain reasons. So, anyway, that's a conversation for another time. We're not going to get into it. So, the action itself, I would give probably, I'm going to go like I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give it like an 8.5. I thought that the action was genuinely amazing. There were a lot of good sequences with the lightsabers, a lot of like creative work with using like some environment as well, which I feel like we don't get to see enough of in Star Wars action in general. It's like you did have some moments where Cara was like utilizing, like cutting open a piece of the ground and utilizing it as like a shield or something like that. So I thought that it was very cool. A lot of the action, a lot of like fast sequences and stuff, just again, nice camera angles and stuff. So definitely 8.5 for the action. I thought that it was amazing. In terms of the worst thing, I think the worst thing is just probably like, I could say the pacing. I don't really want to say the pacing. I think up until the last episode was half an hour long, which fine, it's like the final, so it's allowed to be a bit longer. But I think the 6th and 7th episode were like 20 minutes each, and so they were like not significantly, but every episode before that was like 27 minutes. And so I was thinking like, okay, I feel like maybe the series could have been better if just they stuck with every episode being like 20 minutes, something like that, or even like, I don't know, 24 minutes. I feel like that maybe could have just made it a bit better with the pacing, whereas, especially in the earlier episodes, like the first 3 episodes, it did feel like the pacing was too slow, and it felt like, okay, we're just kind of like going from planet to planet, trying to get recruits for our war with Nuam. So I'm going to say like the start of the show probably is my least favorite thing. Even so, I'm not going to say it's like bad. I would just give it probably like I'll be generous, so I'm just going to give it a 5 out of 10. I'm going to say it wasn't good or bad. It's a bit more leaning on the bad side, but I'm just going to be generous and give it a 5 out of 10. In terms of the best thing, I think that the best thing was, there was a decent amount that I liked about this, but I think ultimately I'm probably just going to reuse I'm not sure. I really liked the duel between the bounty hunters and Cara. I thought that the duels in general with Cara, I think like Cara just as a character, Cara was very well improved in the series, as well as just the action sequences with her were very cool. But I think I'm just going to go a bit more broad. I'm just going to say the best thing was, I'm just going to reuse the best score for the action, which I gave an 8.5. So I'll go another 8.5 for the action, because yeah, this was truly amazing action that I did enjoy greatly. And yeah, that is all of the scores. So I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. Alright, so it ends up coming out pretty high, actually. It comes out to about a 7 out of 10, which would be pretty good. But I think I'd honestly be a bit harsher with it. I think I would probably give it a bit lower. I'm thinking probably between like a 6 to a 6.5, and honestly I'm going to be a bit harsh with it. I think I'm just going to call it a 6 out of 10. I'm going to say it was above average. It gets better as it goes along, I think, but I think that just like the pacing in the beginning does kind of bring it down a bit. So yeah, I think maybe if I let it marinate a bit longer, maybe it'll get a bit higher. Maybe I can bump it up to a 6.5. But for now, I think, you know what, I'll be generous. I'm not going to give a concrete score. I'm not going to call it a 6. I'm just going to call it between a 6 to 6.5. I will say that it was between above average and good, and I'll let it marinate a bit longer, and at some point, hopefully, I'll get a more concrete. I'll give it a more concrete score in the future, hopefully. So yeah, for now, just a 6 to a 6.5 between above average and good. And yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.